Hope everyone is having a lovely Monday, August 27th. I cannot believe it's almost September, and obviously the midterms are closing in. Just going to wait one more minute to make sure we have everybody here. Obviously, big news over the weekend. Senator John McCain has passed away, and of course, there is a national media mourning of John McCain. So I am here to provide a little, shall we say, balance. National media. Shall we say, mourning. Facts. Shall we say, actual truth about John McCain. So going to get to that. Also, some major news on the Flint water crisis that, of course, is getting no media attention. There was another mass shooting. Is proposing what I think is one of the best bills that I've seen in a very long time. So we're definitely going to cover that. Press the share button. Let's get this out to as many people as possible. As I've told you again and again, unfortunately, I have been suppressed by Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So your help in pressing the share button, getting this out there to as many people as possible, is greatly appreciated. And on YouTube, if you're paying attention on YouTube, this is a super chat. So you could leave contributions in the chat. We got a lot of them last week, so looking to keep that going. And on the bottom of the screen, I'm trying it out this time. On the bottom of the screen, you're not going to see it on Facebook because I still haven't figured out Facebook and how to overlay the graphics from the tech program I use. But if you're watching on Periscope and YouTube, you got the Patreon link, as well as if you don't like monthly, you could do a one-time PayPal. Or as somebody on Twitter said, well, Jordan, you have no talent, so you have to beg people for money. No, that's actually called independent journalism nowadays, since corporate entities are trying to suppress the truth. So that's what's going on. Maybe I don't have talent too, I don't know. But that's the deal. I am on Long Island at my parents' house, so live from my parents' kitchen. If you followed me back in the Young Turks days, this is where I began my crummy media career. So I'll be here all week. A friend of mine is actually in the hospital, so I've been visiting that friend on a daily basis. But I it's the whole thing. Do you criticize somebody after they die? Even somebody awful, are you supposed to be the bigger person? Don't criticize, don't speak ill of the dead, it's in bad taste, and blah, 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 blah. I don't believe in that. I don't think, I don't think you have to go out of your way to dance on somebody's grave. I don't think you need to go out of your way to be joyous that there are people mourning. So obviously, no matter what I feel about John McCain, I do feel bad for his wife, his children, those he worked with, and those who supported him. He was a human being, even though I think he was an incorrigible human being, which I'm going to get to. But, I do put a disclaimer that, of course, you feel bad for people who had a different experience with the man. But I think that it's dangerous. It's dangerous going forward if we fantasize and create alternative images and legacies of people like John McCain, because then it puts a value. It puts a morality onto the very people that have contributed to what I think is the most dangerous part of America, and that is U.S. imperialism, the military-industrial complex. John McCain was basically the leader of the club as far as, let's spread democracy around the world, even if we have to kill everyone to do it. And what they meant by democracy, what McCain means by democracy, because even he fantasized the notion of what America was, is basically stealing other countries' oil, toppling other countries' democratically elected leaders, and installing our own rebels or resistance, which became terrorists. A lot of the leaders and a lot of the countries that John McCain advocated toppling their dictators and installing our own leader ended up being equal to, if not worse, than that country's leader. There's so much to get into with John McCain. I'll start with the positive because you couldn't pay me enough. If there was another draft, I would dodge, I would flee to Canada or the Caribbean or wherever the hell I would have to flee rather than serving. Not only because I don't believe in the wars the United States fights, but I don't want to serve in the military. That's not my bag. So I do give him credit, obviously. Served in Vietnam, prisoner of war, had the opportunity to leave because of his father's rank in the U.S. military and said, no, I'm not going to leave. I have to follow protocol, which means people get released in order of capture. So you can't take anything away from the man who was a prisoner of war and probably experienced the type of torture that very few of us could even imagine. But that's where my generosity ends. Because honestly, you would think a man that saw the true face of war and not what the television movies of the 1960s, 70s, and 80s have infantilized about war, not the images of the United States Rambo going in and, saving democracy and killing the terrorists, but the true heinous nature of war. You would think a man like that, who was tortured, would come out of it and be sounding the alarm so that we didn't continue wars with no real reasoning to be in it in the first place. So we didn't continue wars that were going to, the same way he was tortured, torture other armies' prisoners. The same way that his comrades and soldiers were killed senselessly, kill senselessly other armies and other countries' soldiers senselessly. The same way that he feared United States citizens being in danger. The same way that he feared United States citizens being in danger of terrorist attacks or the great big communistic threat, which was basically a creation of the CIA. You would think that he would have that same reasoning, that we do not go to war, that we do not bomb countries, that we do not drone countries, that we do not send ground troops in, unless it is the absolute last step. Every other step has been taken to prevent it. You would think somebody that saw what war really was would be adamantly against it, if not the absolute last resort. But that's not who John McCain was. That's not who John McCain was. So I first want to address this notion. I'm going to get to the wars, which I think were by and far the most. That's who John McCain was. He was the captain of the military-industrial complex. But before we get to that, the media is falling all over itself. It's like they've lost 3 cats. They're depressed. It's very, very sad. And share this if you're watching on Facebook. Definitely share this on YouTube. Share this on Periscope. John McCain was not a maverick. This was an image, because what John McCain was great at, and by the way, this is as much a tale of the total access game the mainstream media is. Corporate media, all about access. John McCain was the ultimate access. John McCain would talk to anyone in the media, middle of the night, whenever you wanted. He was exposed to the media, and he would talk to the media. Why? Because He wanted to be heard. He wanted to be seen. He had an Arizona desert-sized ego. This is true. If you talk to people who knew him, loved the media and was very, very smart in manipulating the media. And that's why the media, I mean, you watch Jake Tapper on CNN. Oh my God. It's like his first girlfriend. It's like walking in on his first girlfriend with his brother or something. He's so sad. And again, I said this at the top. I'm not trying to dance on John McCain's grave. I do feel for his loved ones and all that. But you know what? Maybe we should also think about all the people who have had to mourn loved ones in Asia, in the Middle East, and around the world, because John McCain cheerleaded and was instrumental in America going to war. America dropped public relations for the United States military and the United States empire. So when one of its captains of the military-industrial complex dies, corporate media and the fantasy it creates kicks into high gear. But John McCain was not some maverick. This notion that he went against his party consistently and did these very shocking, surprising things that no other Republican did. Okay, well, before we get to war of the defense contractors, well, here's John McCain's top donors in his entire career. Number one, Merrill Lynch. Hold on. Number one, Merrill Lynch, $433,000 in his career. Okay? Number two, JP Morgan and Chase. JP Morgan and Chase coming in. Hold on. JP Morgan and Chase coming in at $415,000. Citigroup, number three, $398,000. AT&T, $392,000. Goldman Sachs, $373,000. Morgan Stanley, $352,000. Pinnacle West Capital, $305,000. U.S. government, that would be defense contractors or government contractors, $255,000. UBS AG, another financial, $254,000. General Electric, which did manufacture weapons, $244,000. FedEx, $227,000. Bank of America, $219,000. PricewaterhouseCoopers, another financial, $217,000. Credit Suisse, $214,000. Blackstone Group, military, defense, $213,000. American Airlines, $202,000. Wachovia Corp, another financial, $195,000. Greenberg Traurig, $191,000. U.S. Army, $189,000. This is somebody who wanted campaign finance reform? Are you kidding me? That's like a Hall of Fame of the banks. That's a Hall of Fame of big banks and defense. The big banks and the defense industry. You cannot get more financial than that. You cannot get more. Okay, so if a politician says money is poisoning our democracy, which John McCain said, you can't get any more beholden to donors that John McCain was. I just showed you the money. That's open secrets. Look it up. Top 20. Big banks, big financial institutions, and defense.